Hello, guys. Can you hear me? GM. Let me know if you can hear me all right. And let me know if you're excited. Are you excited? Let me know how you are, wherever you are. Good. Okay, good. Nice. All right. We have so much to talk about. I thought I just dumped my brain, everything that goes on in my brain on you guys today. Are you ready? It's going to be a lot. So let's dive right in. Good to see celebrities in the chat. Simple Waters is here. Mackenzie is here. Hello. Taffy boy. When Taffy boy is here, everything is good. So Bitcoin, Zen, Bitcoin and Zen adoption, BRC-20s and 99, number 99, the great one, Wayne Gretzky. What's the connection? Is the sound a bit iffy? Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, I had the wrong microphone. Mic. There. Hello. Is it better? Test. Uno, dos, tres. Simple Waters. Here's for Wayne Gretzky. Zen HL is going to come. Zen HL, number 99. So Bitcoin, Zen, adoption, BRC-20s, and the great one, 99 Gretzky. What's the connection? Can you connect the dots? Guys? So let's start with number 99. Wayne Gretzky, the best hockey player of all time. He said, a good hockey player plays where the puck is. A great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. Okay? And there's a reason why Wayne Gretzky became the world's best hockey player, because he could play the game better than anyone else because he was thinking in ways no one else did. So my point here is, if we are serious about adoption, this is how we must think, and that's how we win. So people say we are now creating shit coins. We're now creating shit coins on Bitcoin, and not only Bitcoin maxis, but people inside our own community. They say Jack has lost it. He has abandoned the community. He ribbits. Ribbit. Zensu is a meme lord. I love that one. We should focus on Zen. Okay. So let's do that. Let's focus on Zen. What is Zen? Let's go back to the roots. Let's go back to the light paper. The first principles. Okay. What's the mission of Zen? Zen aims to become a community-building crypto asset that connects like-minded people together. Fair Crypto Foundation is designing Zen as a universal cryptocurrency to achieve the original mission of blockchain, following the blockchain tenets of, this is the first principles: decentralization, transparency, counterparty risk resistance, peer-to-peer value exchange, and self-custody. So what we did was that we took these principles and we converted them into code. And we built a whole ecosystem around it with Zen as the foundation and what we call ZenFi, a DeFi based on first principles on top of it. So why does that matter? Well, it matters because we want adoption of that, right? It says right here, adoption. It's the keyword in everything we do. Adoption. Okay. Because We are at only 4% of crypto adoption in the world. And most of it, as you know, is custodial. So it's a problem. It's a huge problem. And no one has succeeded in adoption. Not Bitcoin, not Ethereum, not any other EVM, not any other chain. They're laughing at us because they're ready to shove down a CBDC down your throat at any second. So then you say, yeah, I agree. So let's focus on Zen. What does shitty meme tokens on Bitcoin have to do with Zen? Everything, okay? It has everything to do with Zen. Let me show you right here. Let's dive into the degeneracy of Bitcoin. There we go. So this is Bitcoin. Okay. It's the first and oldest chain. It's the biggest network. It's the biggest market cap. It's the most decentralized network. It has the most amount of holders. It's the most secure. It has the most, okay, so Ethereum has more addresses, but Bitcoin probably has more holders. It's the most secure, the largest community. It's a 540 billion market cap economic energy entity. Everything is immutable. It's permissionless. It's the most, even your grandma understands that there's something called Bitcoin, even though she doesn't understand how it works. She understands that it's something. You can transact peer-to-peer, and of course it's principle-based. It's the Satoshi vision. So what's important to understand with Bitcoin is that Satoshi solved the double spend problem, which means that if I send you a Bitcoin, it's yours. It's no longer mine. And we don't have to trust each other for that. We can verify it on chain. So it's a thing. It's a big thing with Bitcoin. And I would say it has many of the first principles of crypto. You know, it's not a system that we want to rely on everything for everything in creating alternative systems. It does have its flaws and limitations, but it's undoubtedly a network that is huge. That's huge. Okay. It has many touch points that we can leverage. So a question for you is basically, should we interact with Bitcoin as a Zen ecosystem? Could we use this network for the adoption of Zen? Could Satoshi's vision be amplified with Zen in return? I would say so. I definitely think we have a pretty good growth rate, and undoubtedly no one can respectfully argue against the first principles. But if you don't think we should interact with Bitcoin at all, then I would like to know why not. Like, what are the reasons why we shouldn't interact with it? Because I can't think of anyone. So if we should interact with it, then the question is, how should we start interacting with Bitcoin? Okay, as our ecosystem. So we already did, and we used a very sophisticated method to do so, which is the find out, fuck around strategy. Okay, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. And we fucked around a lot, and we found out a lot. So it worked pretty well. And when we fucked around, we had some results of that fucking around. So we broke Bitcoin in a few days. We didn't break Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still running, but we broke the narrative of low fees on Bitcoin. We caused the Bitcoin fee flipping for the first time in history for on-chain transactions. It's happened once before, back in 2017, I think it was, but then it was capital moving into centralized exchanges. This is the first time that the fee flippening happened for on-chain transactions. So what is the Bitcoin fee flippening? It's basically when you have miners receiving more. Miners receive block rewards, but they also receive transaction fees. So they receive more in transaction fees than in block rewards. And this caused so much disruption. So it caused Binance to lose 4.5 billion in user deposits. As a result, they started to adopt the Lightning Network. And we could create a 45 million market cap token in 6 hours, which is just like insane if you think about it. Like how could we do that? How is that even possible? It's possible through vampire technology. So we did this in a few days, and I'm going to tell you exactly how we did it, because it's very interesting. But before I do, again, like, is there something here you think when you see these things that has to do with what our project is about, which is adoption and first principles? So Bitcoin doesn't have smart contracts. If we did, we could have just deployed our contracts and treated it just like any other EVM. But just like, let it sink in. Does this have something to do with adoption? People say, like, what does this have to do with Zen? It has everything. That's my point. This has everything to do with Zen. We can be bystanders or active participants in the Bitcoin revolution that goes on right now. And I think we can choose where we want to be in that revolution. I know where I think we should be. Bitcoin is a permissionless network. I think everyone is aligned that Bitcoin has great value, but then they value that maybe differently. And it's a force of energy that can be good for creating alternative system, which we need. If we can take cryptography in the hands of everyone, that's a great opportunity. So Zen is just like Bitcoin on Ethereum, if you think about it. But Bitcoin has become this like hodl mania community, which is not what was envisioned by Satoshi in the first place. So there's alignments and there's discrepancy. But this is where we could go if we want to explore. Now, let's focus on where we're coming from. Ethereum. There's a lot to be said about Ethereum. I made this presentation a little fast, so it's a bit unstructured, maybe. But just some metrics to zoom in. 27 billion TVL, 230 billion market cap, biggest developer network. It has DeFi, much faster finality than Bitcoin, programmable money through smart contracts, L2, sidechain, stable coins, etc., etc. So all about Bitcoin, Ethereum. Now, let's focus in on what we have done in a very short amount of time in this ecosystem. So we deployed 40 somewhat contracts. We integrated the 11th chain. We built an ecosystem with many dApps. We built a worldwide community. We've had over 1 million unique users on Zen.network. We made ETH deflationary. We stress tested all the chains and still do. And we're on top transactions in all the chains. So this is our flag. This is Mount Everest. This is the day that we launched Zen. And you could see that the effect it had on the Ethereum supply. And this was interesting because this was not so long past the merge, and there was big discussions around if Ethereum was going to become deflationary or not, and we sort of pushed them over the edge. And since then, it's just been a rolling ball downwards. So yeah, on expanded, we've given the opportunity to mint Zen on all of these different networks. We have 40,000 ETH, 76 million has been burned to mint Zen, which is quite staggering. Only on Ethereum. Only on Ethereum. And a big ecosystem has been built, etc., etc. And here you can see the transactions. I just took some excerpts on, this is Etherscan. So we're in top transaction on Ethereum, on Binance, on Polygon, on Avalanche, on Phantom, on Moonbeam, etc., etc. Like we are causing a lot of the transactions going on in these networks. And you call it spam, I call it demand. But it doesn't matter what we call it because it's still happening. And why is it so? Because it is so because as long as and it's important to understand why it is so. It is so because as long as a user believes that he will get higher value in the future than what he has to pay in gas today, he will go ahead and make that transaction happen. So it's delayed gratification proven. And that's a huge insight that we have proven in a very large scale, because this is where tech meets user behavior in a very large scale. And we're seeing many users think the same, therefore this high activity. And I want us to think why is this happening? So why would a user believe that? So you can ask yourself, you can ask any user, because he has full transparency in a decentralized network, interacting with immutable code, with no whales influencing, and the power to move at any time through self-custody. So you have all of those freedoms and it still works. So just think about it. We just deployed the contract. We just deployed the contract, and it's you guys who are building up all the transactions. So it's completely based on user activity. So what we have proven is that, well, L1 needs better scaling solutions for sure, because if you can't handle our contracts, how are you going to scale to billions? But we also proved that Zen works, first principles works. And why do I say that? Well, because miners are getting paid. Miners in this case is you. It's not some corporation. You can create value directly straight from the protocol with no intermediaries. with aligned incentives. You know, there's no fee or allocation from Zen protocol anywhere. It's just we allowed you to have full custody. Everything is transparent, and the fact that it is also ammunition to prove to other systems that they have made unnecessary trade-offs, that they will have to explain why they pre-mined, why they have custody of your tokens, why you're not allowed to see all the transactions. You know, it works with Zen. What's your excuse? So that's something we have proved. We have proved that Zen works because miners are getting paid. Miners are multiple X plus, even at these price levels, from the dual costs of mint. And you know, all the fudders from the beginning, you know, they all lost. They're deleting their tweets. You know, it's like that Karen for Karen guy. What's he saying now? You remember him? He wanted to save everybody from a $5 mint in the beginning. I don't remember what's his name, but those of you who were there in the beginning know what I mean. We got so much FUD in the beginning that they said this model didn't work. We're proving every day that the model works, and we have time on our side because every day that sweet amp reduces by 1. It doesn't care about anything else but time. So minting difficulty increases. We were at 8.3 years and we are now at 7.5. So tick tock. What happens when it's down to 1? You know what happens. And then you say, oh, well, it's 7.5 years more. That's a long time. Yes, but if you extrapolate the exponential network growth that we have for 7.5 years, so the network grows and the minting difficulty increases. So it's two forces that are working in our favor. And all of this is in the hand of you, a self-sovereign individual with self-custody. Bitcoin doesn't have that. You know, the only way you can get Bitcoin is to buy it from someone who minted it, or from a centralized exchange, which you do 99% of the time when you buy Bitcoin. So with Zen, you are the magician. You are the creator of value on your own terms. So Zen works. Guys, we did it. We did it, you and me, without compromising or making any trade-offs. And this is the biggest crypto IQ test of all time. And it's what Professor Lancelot is calling the Levin's law. You know? Yeah, Ben was wrong. Exactly. Levin's law. First discovered by Professor Lancelot. It's a hypothetical economic principle that suggests that even if an investment drops by 99.99999%, it can still be profitable for investors. I love it. So it exposes everyone that doesn't realize that these are systems we are building, not investments. And then the system can become an investment in turn. But you have to look at it as systems. And, you know, all these Bitboyish crypto influencers, the first thing they do, they look at the price chart and they consciously or subconsciously, or a combination thereof, who knows, make up their mind. And you know, it controls their form of thinking clearly, I think, you know, because past price performance doesn't say anything about network growth at all. And, you know, they see crypto as a vehicle to get the 100x fast, and seemingly don't care so much seemingly about the trade-offs they are making. You know, how many of them didn't promote FTX? All of them did. Okay, it's a centralized institution where you gave up your custody and had no transparency. You know, but they paid the little influencer to talk about them, and the little crypto influencer did. So, sponsored by FTX. You know, they're not talking about us because we're not paying them, but we see more and more now that they can't ignore us. We're making headlines. We're getting there, guys. Because Zen is the definition of crypto. You can't be more crypto than Zen. Like, what? How would you improve the formula to be more first principles than Zen? It could work, and if it does, I mean, that's what we want. We want the world with more first principles crypto. So if someone does it, we should celebrate it. But I don't see how they could do it. At least I don't. So we proved that Zen works. And that first principles is a competitive advantage. Levin slow rocks. Yeah. But we also proved other stuff. Okay. That ZenFi works, you know, yin yang. Because in a completely decentralized network, there's a balance between the monetary supply completely driven by participants, various financial incentives in the network with no central authority controlling. You know, we are the Fed now, you know, seniors. We have a balance between the creation and the destruction of the monetary supply. You know, the QEQT. So the yin-yang balance, as we call it. And the value is in the hands of the network participants who are participating with full self-custody. And I don't think it has been proven before that it works completely in a decentralized network like that. Because if you allow the user to convert their economic energy from something that is highly inflationary for now to something that has a different token issuance and is more deflationary and with limited supply, some do, some don't. But like we see with DBSM, for instance, some burn for it, some like, no, I'm not burning anything on my Zen, but some want to do it. But all in all, there is a balance. And, you know, here's the data to back it up, like all of what I'm saying. Like we're at 581 million in total global rank, you know, 350 million active minters, 1.7 million NFTs have been minted. 1.7 million NFTs. Do you realize? It's insane. It's completely nuts. Look at this. Seniors, they're hungry. They're just eating up it was blue. It was a blue ocean like a few years ago. Make it shorter. Guys, I'm going to go on probably for 2 hours. Just talk, like go through like deep in a rabbit hole. So there's no juicy alpha for a long time. Because I want everybody to understand what we're doing. So this tells a very important story about the yin-yang relationship. It almost looks like a yin-yang chart. We can see burns, stake. This is the balance between the yin-yang. Here you can see another relationship, which is the Zen supply. There's a relationship between the issuance and the tightening. And all in all, it looks like a very harmonious curve. And Zen Turbo just updated their estimation. I don't know if you saw this. It was 420 yesterday. 420 trillion. But based on the recent activities of these very few protocols that we have in the ecosystem right now, the supply is constantly like adjusting down. So that is very interesting. So yin yang works. So what did we did? We proved that a user will transact with the network if he believes that the value he will get in the future is more than they have to pay in gas now. Okay, we proved that the yin-yang relationship works, and fundamentally, you know, we have to just realize that there's nothing more to prove with it. It's beautiful because theory and practice checks out. You know, it's done. All it needs is amplification, more of the same. Like, this shit is scalable. You know, that's the insight. We need more minters. We needed to get it in the more hands of people, and we need more things to burn Zen for, to use it. So we still need to further develop ZenFi, which is DeFi based on first principles, but we just need to iterate tokenomics, bring in more use cases. The foundations is there. The foundation works, and we've seen it on 11 chains. Okay, we know what we're talking about. It's working on all of these chains. So DeFi is now done in a much safer environment due to first principles as a foundation. You know, it's very hard to rug you when you have the custody. It's very hard to hide data from you when everything is transparent. It's very hard to manipulate the price when nobody has control over the supply in any significant way. And it's very hard to change the protocol when the contract is immutable. So if you are building DeFi right now and not integrating Zen somehow, I don't know what you're thinking about, because you have 11 chains plus Bitcoin and a huge community and users on all chains. Nobody else has that. So all you have to do is give Xenians incentives to use your protocol, and they will. So guys, look at the DB Zen team. You know, it's one protocol, and they burned 3.7 trillion, $6.5 million, just one protocol. It's like almost 4 trillion of the supply. You know, the DB Zen guys, they get it when it comes to DeFi. They're just creating lots of utility for Zen, deployed on all chains, users on all chains. You know, they go deep in DeFi. They're just hyperstructuring, you know, protocols, fractals. They have Zen coming out, deployed on Polygon just a few days ago. Gasless transactions for mints, flash loans. DB's NFTs coming out. So they are just like going deep in DeFi, creating this hyperstructure where everything is just building on top of each other. So be Batman. If you can't be Batman, be Rasvan. That's what I always say. Very, very, very happy, very proud of the DB Zen team. You know, there's also like a lot of builders that are doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Let me show you something that I just got today. I don't know if the sound works, but it doesn't matter. Look at this. Can you hear the sound? Okay, fuck the sound. But what we're looking at now is a I just got this sent to me today by Codebreaker. It's absolutely nuts. It's a decentralized non-custodial wallet for Zen, a multi-chain wallet, which has everything built in. it's an NFT marketplace for Ethereum and Binance and the yield farming, DBZen, Phoenix. It's adding a Bitcoin sidechain to it, etc., etc. So, builders are just going nuts right now, building a lot of cool stuff for Zen, which is very cool to see. It's awesome. Like, imagine, and he's very much focused on mobile, which is also cool. Imagine you can run the whole show from your wallet. Hello, Honey Deals. How you doing? Anyway, that's basically all I know about that app. But things are just like coming up all over the place. Now, let's switch back to the Miro. There we go. So we've done all of this, okay? We've done all of this. And, Zen continues, ZenFi will continue. We need hundreds and thousands of dApps using Zen. And so it's just to like get them all out. Many will fail, but it's always going to be for a good reason. So you just find out what the reason is and you iterate it again and again and again. And it's not going to be based on any foundations because Zen works. So it's just about adjusting the tokenomics or the marketing or the distribution or the user adoption or whatever. But the foundation of Zen works. But here's the kicker. If you think that's enough to solve adoption, then you have no idea what this project is about. Because we can't stop at DeFi. DeFi is not the only driver for adoption in the world. We should go deep into the DeFi forest. We should go all the way. But we have to understand that this project is about adoption. We need to focus on adoption as well. We need to bring in the next 1 million, 10 million, 100 million users into protocols like Phoenix, like DBZen, like all the others. And all these things we have proven by rigorously educating, testing, doing due diligence, participating in all these networks, and ultimately proven that our model works. And the fact that it does work leads me to think that we are more than ready for a breakthrough of these ecosystems. That it's more than enough time for us to expand, to accelerate adoption, to think bigger, to go for it, to expand your mind. We're so many in our community, and I'm very grateful for each and every one of you who are here every day, learning, teaching, educating others. All the hours you spend every day learning, helping, teaching, educating. Like, thank you. That makes me, like, this community makes me believe that we are ready for takeover in a more serious way. So I want you to imagine all of this development that we are taking over Ethereum with on Bitcoin as well. So just for reference, like when it comes to adoption, you have Ethereum having like 1 million transactions per day. Bitcoin has 0.5 million transactions per day. It shouldn't be TPS, but whatever. Visa has 150 million transactions per day. So we are not even, we have a long way to go before we can take this tech in the hands of the normies. It doesn't matter how much yield you get on the apps. This tech needs to come out to the general population. So basics. We talked about Bitcoin what it is and if we should interact with it, and everyone said yes. And we talked about Ethereum, what we've done, what we're doing. Now let's see. Now it's the juicy part. Like here's how I look at it. Here's how we look at it today. There's something happening right now, and I call it merge in lack of a better way. That's how I see what's happening before. It's not the ETH merge; it's another kind of merge we see happening. It's the merge of these two ecosystems. Okay, they are about to merge in a colossal scale. They have previously been very isolated from each other, living side by side, not really interacting with each other, but that's all changing now. And why is it so? As we have talked about in depth, I think it's because the Taproot upgrade to Bitcoin, ordinal theory, ordinals, Bitcoin L2s getting new life, the concept of fungible tokens on Bitcoin expressed as BRC-20s, permanent storage, etc., etc. You couldn't build anything on Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin is a lot harder to build stuff with, and it's been neglected in various ways because of this. But this changes now. You know, users on Bitcoin hasn't been able to use their Bitcoin for anything else than store of value and simple peer-to-peer transactions. So when I say a merge, what I see is a flow of energies going back and forth. Like the gateways are opening up between these new worlds of users, capital, developers, and knowledge, going from Ethereum into Bitcoin and going from Bitcoin into Ethereum. Like the interoperable volume, I think, is just going to become exponential between these two worlds. This is what I see when I interpret the world that goes on right now. So then the question is, what would Gretzky do? You know, what would Gretzky do in a situation like this? Would he stay put here and focus on Zen? Or would he predict where the puck is going to be? So I'm going to try to explain a little more in depth with like integrations of network. As I see it, there's like, in order to understand complex model, we need to have some sort of framework to understand like how to interpret it. And I like to call this just like 3 layers of integration. We can look at it from a technical perspective, a financial, and a cultural one. So what's going on between this merge? You know, technical, Bitcoin doesn't have smart contracts. You know, building is one thing, but also how do you transfer value across the networks in a trustless manner? You know, we need the technical solutions in order to solve that. And the question is, how do we verify it and how do we find consensus? But what's happening right now is that builders are seeing more and more solutions to this. On a financial level, the question is, how do you create aligned incentives between users in these both systems? And where is their misalignment and why? And builders are incentivized to build those now. On Ethereum, you have DeFi that's gone very deep for many years with very advanced incentive models. And you have some on Bitcoin as well, but on L2s, which nobody really uses. So Bitcoin can capture a lot of what has been going on Ethereum and do it probably better with all the insights that we now have. there's also a cultural layer to this. On the Bitcoin side, users come from two camps. You have the and it's very important to understand that, because you have the Bitcoin purist and fundamentalist who say you shouldn't interact with something that isn't pure to the principles of Bitcoin. You shouldn't hold any other assets than Bitcoin. And then you have the pragmatists who are saying, if we want Bitcoin to succeed, we have to sell block space. So there's a split in the Bitcoin community, probably best expressed in we went to the Bitcoin Miami conference, and you had a very interesting, you should watch this online on YouTube, this debate between Eric Wall and Udi Wartimer from Taproot Wizards, promoting ordinals, saying it's good for Bitcoin. And you have Shinobi Monkey, who says that he's a freelance writer and researcher, very, very deep into Bitcoin. That in a way, ordinals is an attack on Bitcoin. BRC-20 tokens have, as he called it, stupidly inefficient way of doing what they claim. Counterpart is a better solution. And Eric points out that protocols like Counterparty are not as efficient. They resort to Web2 links to save files. Many of them are down, etc., etc. There's also a reason why Counterparty hasn't reached some sort of global consensus of why it should be used. So in a way, there are many levels where the Ethereum and Bitcoin mindsets now crash, collide, merge, however you want to call it. You have the Bitcoin maxis who see these developments that goes on Bitcoin right now as a threat for good reason. We are highly aware of the shit and corruption that goes on in the Ethereum world, but instead of neglecting it and repelling it, we in Zen took another approach, which is change from the inside, and that is Zen. Because Zen is basically Bitcoin in the sense that you can mine your own value on Ethereum in many ways. We have many times said that Zen is the amplification of the Satoshi principles. So systems are permissionless, and that's our invite in as vampires. Vampire technology. But another word for it is interoperability, because while every other chain is still trying to convince you that their chain is faster, better, cheaper, we go everywhere. Okay, it's like this Pulse versus X1 or Zen versus Hex. People always want to compare, but it's like comparing apples with bananas. Bananas. How do you say it? Bananas. Bananas. We are trying to solve different things, in my opinion. We want to solve adoption. This is our mission, and to do that, we have to have the core pure 100%. We as creators have to distance ourselves from the core protocol, which is what we have done. Whereas they want to maximize returns. You can have a bit of a financial admin key as long as it's benevolent, should be fine. You can choose what you want to support. It's completely up to you as a self-sovereign individual. But it's interesting that there are different approaches into building systems. It's like Amazon, how did they become the world's one of the world's largest companies? Because have you ever thought about why? Well, they did so because they reinvested everything that they made for years. They told shareholders, hey, no dividends, no executive launches, sir. We're going to take all the profits and reinvest in growth. So they managed to outcompete every other online retailer. And then after like 15 years, rocket ship, you know. But it's very interesting what they did. We follow the Google model of free. You know, give the user something for free, and they will come and build up the network. So we're building Zen exactly the same way as we talked about in Zen Education number 2. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. So by removing the taxes that comes from, like, the taxes in the system growth, we can grow faster. So in all of this, when you have like different, everything systems, when you have different systems integrating, you know, we have to ask ourselves, where are the synergies? Which are the amplifiers? Where are the weaknesses? And so on. So let's call it touch points. Okay. How do we find out which touch points there are between two systems? Like, how can we see it clearly? So I like the seatbelt analogy. That's how you make a change for anything. You can either build it in, communicate, or legislate. If you take the seatbelt as an example, like, how do you incentivize someone to use a seatbelt? You can legislate, like, if you don't put a seatbelt on, you're getting a fine. Okay, fine, click. You can communicate. You can have a billboard saying, this is how many people die in traffic, and 99% of them didn't have a seatbelt. Fine, click. Or you can have the super annoying sound that just like bleeps forever until you, fine, click. And these three actions work for everything. Like, we can be builders, we can be legislators, or we can communicate. You can have Udi standing here on a stage, scream to the maxis, and Eric calling Shinobi a blockchain Karen, you know, to provoke a discussion, and maybe that's needed. You can also have the Socrates approach, which is more like, let's see what we agree on, and then we can see what we don't agree on. And probably maybe a combination of this is needed. But we have to realize that Bitcoin has missed out a lot on crypto adoption. Bad stuff, but also good. And the more Bitcoin stays siloed as Bitcoin, the more ETH is going to grow, because people want to do more things with it. It's not necessarily a good thing to stay very siloed like that. You know, it's very hard to make changes to Bitcoin. It's because it doesn't want to upgrade. It's its greatest feature, but it's also its greatest bug in the same place, which is the reason why we have Ethereum, because Vitalik and Charles said, like, fuck it, we want to build something else which allows us to build whatever we want. But Bitcoin now has an opportunity to take learnings from ETH and make DeFi better, with immutability as a standard. You know, fair launches maybe more as a standard, and that's why we are eager to participate now, so we can help steer this development. In the Bitcoin white paper, it says that what's explained in the headline is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. You know. But it isn't used as that, you know. Bitcoin has been digital gold. It's been this like hodl mania. Just hold it forever. Don't use it. The change now with these upgrades is that, and like that's why I go deep with you in this right now, because I want you to understand it. Bitcoin is not only gold right now; it's also oil. Okay, it can be used for something. So the adoption of using Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer cash payment didn't succeed. You know, if Lightning is the solution, then we just pushed everyone in the realization as such faster with what we did. And I'm going to tell you exactly what we did in a bit. It's pretty insane. But for the first time, we could really focus on building infrastructure for users to interact with the L1. And as soon as there's issues, we can take that immediately to the L2. And like L1, L2 solutions, basically very simplified. You can see it as this. You can use Bitcoin as the settlement layer, and you have another chain as the execution layer. So on the L2, you can have like all the logic you want with smart contracts, and then settle down on the Bitcoin blockchain. But in order for that to happen, we need to see what the boundaries are with the L1 in the first place. In this case, Bitcoin, because it's the concept of the Japanese lake. You can stress test the network by reducing or exhausting the resources level going in to the machinery, so you can see the rocks at the bottom representing the bottlenecks. So what we are doing now is seeing what the limits of Bitcoin are, because it then also lights a fire under the ass of L2 solutions. And there's a lot of excitement for actions on Bitcoin. I was just in Miami with Jack. I also attended the Bitcoin Builders Conference. It's hard to explain. It's magic in the room. People are in like the zone of creating, discussing, sharing knowledge, building. So what we also have is this dynamic social layer, and as we talked about, it's nothing new that you're building on Bitcoin. They already have a huge ecosystem, but this opens up the gates for the Ethereum and Bitcoin ecosystem to merge in all aspects. And this is where we in the Zen ecosystem have a huge opportunity to grow first principles of crypto, because we speak Ethereum and we live Bitcoin. So Zen is the amplification of Satoshi's vision with the power of degeneracy, only possible with programmable money. And all of it is pure through the fact that we are living up to the first principles. So it's super beautiful. Our approach is activity. We're testing systems to the max, vampire technology, not to destroy, the opposite, to make better, to see where does it fail, what can we learn from that, improve, and move on. So again, does it make sense for us to play and interact with Bitcoin? We could just leave the explosiveness that goes on Bitcoin right now and wait for Vitalik to come to our Christmas party, or we can head straight in and do what we do best to get the insights faster, because there's no precedent. Bitcoin is stuck in gold, trying to be peer-to-peer cash, and Ethereum is a bit stuck in DeFi. There's no killer app that's used by the mainstream yet. Think about it. There's no app that your mama is using that's based on Bitcoin or Ethereum. Nobody succeeded. So we have to think like new always. But the bottom line of this is that both networks have their strengths, their weaknesses. You can do things on one but not the other, and vice versa. So why not utilize both? You have Zen on ETH. Why shouldn't you be able to convert it to economic energy on Bitcoin, and vice versa? I do realize, guys, some of you are just hungry for alpha about BMPX and stuff like that. But we were coming to some of that too. So I need you to understand this. This is important. So we have these two huge ecosystem, okay, that haven't been interacting at all so much, and now they have more of a reason to, and they are now doing it in a technical, financial, and cultural level. So what we have to ask ourselves: should we be in the center of this or not? What do you think? Because X1 could be like the merger of networks, and Bitcoin should be included, because the goal is adoption. EVM isn't everything. Bitcoin can't be ignored. We didn't start Zen by saying, we want to do something on Ethereum and then came Zen. We started because there's a need for a freer world to transact with. And Ethereum and EVM was chosen because it has smart contracts, it's the biggest network, it has most of the developers, it has stable coins, and all of these reasons. But the goal is adoption. So it kind of makes sense to be here in the middle of this development that's happening, I think. So how do we do that? Well, we already initiated the work. XEN has a full Bitcoin node. We have nodes in other networks as well. But we need Bitcoin DeFi. We need to explore payment platforms, infrastructure, wallets, a whole bunch of things. And there's a whole lot of stuff to be built. And a whole lot of stuff have already been built by others. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to connect the dots. There's so much excitement in the space. And it's important to realize that. We are talking to a lot of other Bitcoin and Ethereum open source freaks like us. And there's a lot more out there. So it's super exciting. And people are noticing what we are doing, and they realize, oh, damn, like the Zen guys are not to play around with. There's something we do that has a huge amount of power. So it's attractive for them to find solutions to integrate into the Zen ecosystem. And I'm very excited to be at this point right now when we can make things like that happen. We are just now in Los Angeles talking with the Libre team. And they're doing awesome stuff. And I think we can find ways how we can amplify our ecosystem with their technology and so on. So we're going to talk about that another day. Not Libra, not some Facebook shit, Libre. So the point is, we can be part of this development and be leading innovators by merging EVM and Bitcoin. Because nobody has like really figured it out. It's still very much isolated ecosystem. You know, we focused on different problems as well. There's so many solutions that are coming out right now on Bitcoin that it's mental, like PSBTs, partially signed Bitcoin transactions, which is basically solving a lot of the issues had on Ethereum when it comes to building DEXs, for instance. Like, I have a sell order, complete this transaction by paying me. Or, you know, indexers, databases of transaction containing all the data, roll kits for faster finality, super fast blocks, trustless assets. So my point is that the change right now is that more and more people and builders are seeing solution for this. And the challenge has to do with have every builder have all the tooling available. But when solved, you know, users and TVL will come. And Zen X1 should be the gateway drug for capital, users, developers, talent, and knowledge coming from, you know, EVM into Bitcoin and from Bitcoin into EVM. So yes, I do see a merge of some kind happening. I'm trying to build models for what is going on, but it's all happening like in flight. But I think first and foremost, like what I'm excited about is that I see teams from the EVM side and Bitcoin side come together for the first time and really work and share knowledge at the very minimum. We are talking to a lot more Bitcoin builders and are impressed by their solutions, what they have done, that they are interested in what we have done. So the synergy effect there is very interesting. So who wants to talk about degen energy now? Let's talk about some degen energy. Are you ready? VMPX, Virtual Minting Portal, X1. Exactly. Mr. Drums, Aydin, Dracic, Staradish, kako si? Moram di sarad mi pare. All right. So, degen energy. As you can figure out, like these are very complex systems we are dealing with. Ido, Doba Brate. These are very complex systems we're dealing with, like on their own, but also integrating, with an exponent, it gets very complex. And instead of being academics about this, we need to interact ASAP to understand what goes on and to learn and to build, because we are makers, we are not talkers. Okay, we talked about this. So what we've done so far in a very short amount of time is we made our first non-EVM blockchain project, which was the Zenite, where we proved how you can take a user from the Ethereum side, participate in an auction, and then provide value on the Bitcoin side. And we thought the community, why we did it, how the tech work, and got them familiar with Bitcoin wallets, taproot IDs, etc., etc. We talked a lot of theory about like ordinals, what they are, how they work, where they come from. So if you missed this, just watch like every Zen education you can find. So what users burned for in this project was early inscribed ordinals, which in time probably could be valuable if ordinals continue to be a thing and the Zen ecosystem will be a thing. Being like in the first 300,000 ordinal inscriptions, it's pretty cool. And currently we are at 10 million inscriptions, which is pretty cool. 10 million. We just hit it yesterday. So what did we learn from this project is that we learned a lot of Bitcoin fundamentals, how to work with the chain, with no smart contracts in a trustless manner to the highest extent, which was very interesting. And they are on Magic Eden. I will show the link later where you can trade them. Then we degened into the BRC-20 space. So we created Zuni, which was the first test with the community and to prove how efficient, creation and distribution could be. We wanted you guys to play with it yourself as well. So we did it live on Crypto Kindness stream. So this is all his fault. We take no responsibility. It's all Crypto Kindness. And what did we learn? Like with economic energy, as you know, there's creation, distribution, and trading of economic energy. And distribution is a challenge because on the stream, I deployed the ticker. I minted one myself, went to bed, and then I woke up and they were all minted out. So although creation is super easy, distribution is a huge challenge, like through the lens of fair distribution. So then we created Pussy, and Pussy was made to iterate, improve the tokenomics and distribution and communication. So we went from, with Zuni, a 10K supply with one limit per mint going to 69 supply and limit per wallet 69. So how did the change in tokenomics affect the distribution and the number of holders? Because remember, you only give 3 inputs for the tokenomics, and once it's deployed, it's free for all to start minting permissionlessly. So also for that reason, communication needs to be balanced in order to try to get as many people as possible to the minting start line. Value lies a lot in the number of holders, as you know, and we always have a lens of the fair launches. So what we did is we created a landing page called DGen Energy with a countdown, and we didn't reveal the ticker, and we just said something is coming, and the countdown was a link to another landing page, which was this, which had the link to mint. So the utility of Pussy is nothing other than to use as a tool for obnoxious I can't say this word, obnoxious fathers with a bad attitude. You know, when someone says something, you can just say, it sounds like you need to buy some pussy. Now, we do realize that you know, making a meme token called pussy like triggered everyone differently on their levels of vocivity. Okay, but it's also the intention to provoke, because if you refer back to the three levels of integration, culture is one of them. So to make a point to everyone from like shitcoiners to Bitcoin maxis that if we want to build scalable systems, people are going to use the systems for whatever. So who are you to say that what is acceptable to use a permissionless blockchain and not, as long as I'm willing to pay the fees? Okay, you like, on what grounds are you going to be the judge of what content goes to your chain, gets inscribed on your chain, or gets transacted on your chain, apart from just having an open fee structure? Can we let a fee structure rule, and whatever goes, as long as you pay the fees, and it's a free market for that? Or are you going to censor my content, you know? So are you going to be a blockchain Karen for what the chain is being used for? So with the systems, you know, you can't care about what content users will want to transact with. It doesn't matter what is being built on top of the chain. If it will, it can be. So as long as someone can transact for gas, something they believe will be more valuable in the future again, or in the future or now, they will, and they should be allowed to do so, and that's it. And by the way, pussy is referring to the cat, nothing else. I don't know what you thought about. You see here, it's a cat. It's a pussy cat eating. Okay, nothing else. Okay, I don't know what you thought about. Now, then we created VMPX, virtual minting. No, it's Vampire X, or like Jack likes to say, Vampirix. So this was super interesting. This was super interesting because the focus here was on distribution. Like, how can we get the maximum amount of holders? So we didn't plan for it to break Bitcoin, you know, but the result was that we got a lot of eyes on us. Like people came up to us and said, hey, we noticed you because the fees on Bitcoin got completely nuked. So what we did is we looked at all the BRC-20s, how they were distributed, and we knew that we could do better in terms of distribution and decentralization. You know, many have been minted with a token distribution up to that point that could be a lot better distributed. So our goal was to create the most decentralized BRC-20 token with the most amount of holders, which is something that we did succeed in. And so how did we do it? Because we knew that the supply was fixed and the other variable was limit per mint. But we also knew that we could like batch mint. So this is just like a rough calculation we did in a few minutes. We knew that you could batch mint 24 at a time. So we thought it would be reasonable to have the mint going on for 6 hours or so. So we got like pretty close. We predicted over 10,000, but we got to 9.3, something like that. And then the supply, 1,006,824, is a vampire number. A vampire number, and we use ChatGPT to come up with the vampire numbers. So a vampire number is when you take the length of the factor plus the length of the other factor, and those equal the sum of those equal the length of the product. That's a vampire number. So and the reason we chose the vampire theme is because so the whole vampire thing, for those who don't know, came from the fact that it started with Jack got invited by Hexagon influencers to talk crypto. And everyone said like, hey, Jack, when are you going to make your own token? So he started thinking about it, and he came up with Zen. And then we got so much traction, and they got jealous, and they claimed that he vampired their community, basically. And then added to that, we congested all the chains with our 400 lines of code protocol, which just like amplifies the vamp tramp stamp. So then we were like, okay, let's just be vampires then. That's what we are. So at some point we're like, let's just go with that as our identity, vampire technology. But as we talked about, like if it can be done, it will be done. So it's better that we are testing these systems than a nation state. But the result of this was just completely berserk. Like look at this block production, completely red. It's look at the mempool. It's just like the highest ever. The sats per virtual byte over 600. It never happened before. Here you can see the spike of the VMPX mint, and another chart just showing the same. The fees on the transactions. This spike was for that mint. So, there's so much around this that's like insanely informative to talk about, because a system with a market cap of $45 million was created, within hours, which is insane in terms of efficiency. When you consider that all it took was 3 inputs and a tweet, basically, and you get an immutable fungible token on Bitcoin. So in terms of like efficiency in token distribution, it says something. You have to realize the power of distribution when you make a $45 million market cap value entity in a few hours with 3 inputs and a tweet. Like when and where have you been able to do that before? And then Bitcoin broke, but what broke? Well, Bitcoin didn't break, of course. What broke was the narrative that you could have low fees on the base layer, because if the demand to transact goes up, what happens? We showed you that. So for the first time, it cost the Bitcoin fee flippening, where miners got more paid in transaction fees than block rewards for on-chain transactions. So but it also proves that Bitcoin can sustain even after block rewards have been like distributed fully, which we sort of always knew could happen theoretically, of course, but this just like proved it, even though it was not like Nobel Prize proved to do. And we got a lot of attention from all the crypto influencers in the space. And when we were in the conference in Miami, people knew about it. So it got a lot of attention. It also caused a lot of panic, which led to like a massive amount of Bitcoin moving away from centralized exchanges. So Binance, for instance, had a withdrawal of billions of dollars of Bitcoin from their exchange, because people realize something is happening. I better extract my Bitcoin from the exchange, which they always do when it's turbulent. However, Binance couldn't satisfy those withdrawals, of course, because you've given up your custody, and it's sort of like fractional banking. They balance they optimize the liquidity, so they don't have always your Bitcoin on the exchange. They lend it out. So it really like emphasizes the importance of having custody of your own tokens. However, what they did, like, listen to this, it led Binance to move to a strategy to adopt the Bitcoin Lightning Network instead. So Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, has recently experienced issues with Bitcoin withdrawals due to a large amount of volume of pending transactions and the network congestion. In response to these issues, the exchange has announced that it is working on integrating the Bitcoin Lightning Network to improve transaction efficiency and prevent future occurrences. Binance struggles with Bitcoin withdrawals. Over the past week, Binance has halted Bitcoin withdrawals twice, each time for around 2 hours, citing network congestion and a large number of pending transactions. The exchange has since resumed, blah, 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 and is now working to enable Bitcoin Lightning Network withdrawals to help manage transactions volume more efficiently. So, you know, we could do that, and we did do that, but it's like getting systems to the insight that things need to be done. Like they could have done it before, but they needed this push in order to make that happen. So I want to see like this event. I don't think people really figured out that we did it, but people are talking about it. Let me know if you can hear this, guys. I want to hear. I want you guys to hear what. Can you hear this? Okay. Let's see why. Okay, let's try now.
If you're a Bitcoin miner and you want a bullish thesis, you want to see that fees, transaction fees, are at parity with rewards, then you want to have a belief that transaction fees will increase at a rate faster than the hash rate. So if the hash rate's going up 20% a year and transaction...
Okay, let's do this instead. There's some clips I want you guys to watch relating to this. Oh, it was good now. Oh, sorry. Okay, then let's share that. Delayed effect. It's like 10 seconds delayed effect in the comments. But awesome, you could hear it.
If you're a Bitcoin miner and you want a bullish thesis, you want to see that fees, transaction fees, are at parity with rewards, then you want to have a belief that transaction fees will increase at a rate faster than the hash rate. So if the hash rate's going up 20% a year and transaction fees are going up 30% a year, then that's good business, a really good business. We crossed this chasm from what was a bearish scenario to a bullish scenario. We went from $1,000 in fees to $100,000 in fees, a factor of 100 increase. What people are realizing is the transactions on the blockchain, they are the ability to send a message that a nation state can't stop. Bitcoin is this immutable, incorruptible, non-sovereign computer network, and it's going to protect your money, but it's also going to protect your integrity, and people are going to pay money for truth on that network, and that's what's going to finance those miners.
So, yeah, I want to share some other clips too regarding this, so you guys understand what's happened here. So let's see. Okay. Oh, fucking hell. You hear this? Okay. So I'm gonna just post these clips. Just gonna post these clips in the chat so you guys can listen to them. There's another one too. There's another one. This one. Listen to it from. Listen to it from. Let me give you the stamps. From 141. Looking at this while stoned. No. All right. Okay. So. I actually don't know why sound's not working, but can you hear me right now again? Yeah. Yeah. No, all right. So anyway, there's some clips, some homework for you to listen at. So basically, this event acknowledged, made Sailor and others like acknowledge that there is value to like this is just something we did, but a lot of other people are doing it in the ordinal space. And this is what we now proved on Bitcoin, just as we have on Ethereum. You know, if the value you want to get is higher than the transaction fee you're willing to pay for, you're going to make that transactions. And you know, again, people cry when we congest, but it's not our fault. You know, with 400 lines of code on Ethereum, we and 3 inputs and a tweet on Bitcoin, the network like shambles. So are you going to blame the builder and user just using the current infrastructure, or like fix or change your narrative around the infrastructure? Because it's a permissionless blockchain, and if it is so, then it's going to be used. And if it isn't a permissionless blockchain, then what are the rules and why? So my point is, if you like all of this, the question is, has this something to do with self-custody, adoption, censorship resistance, better systems, or not? I mean, I think so. I think it's very much related. So on the why we did this and are doing this is because in order to work with the system, you have to know the system you're dealing with at the extreme points by participation and action. So if you're going to be as bold as saying you're creating an L1 for mass adoption, it needs to work. Otherwise, you're just wasting everyone's time. So that was interesting. They also included VMPX in the Binance report, but they misspelled VPMX. It should be VMPX, but I think they fixed it now. But anyway, so then Jack was bored. He was on a plane, and he wanted to see what happens when you deploy a BRC-20 while the fees are low. So we wanted to see, or he wanted to see, if a simple distribution could have a big effect on the Bitcoin network while the sats per virtual byte were low. And it did. It raised the fees by, Buffy raised the fees on Bitcoin by 5-6x. And it was just mayhem, because he did it on a plane while we simultaneously deployed all the 3 contracts on Pulse Chain day one. So the fees went berserk there, and it was interesting to deploy all of those stuff on Pulse Chain. So Buffy's unreliable. You never know where you have her. On season 1, episode 10, Nightmares, Buffy herself became one of the undead. Let that sink in. Buffy Summers dies multiple times throughout Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but each time Buffy manages to return from the dead. So yeah, we are fucking around a bit to find out, and we got many insights from these experiments. So let's talk a little bit about BRC-20 utility now, because people are like screaming, like, what's the point of making all of this, meme tokens? Jack's creating a new meme token every day. People are screaming. What we are curious about now, relating to all of this, is, like all of these right now are just meme tokens with zero utility, just like the rest of the BRC-20s. They were never promoted as being something more before we did the mint phase. We didn't promise anything, any utility whatsoever. But what we are curious of is if we can take a BRC-20, a fungible token on Bitcoin, which has a limited supply, and make it deflationary. And if we can create a utility for a meme token. If we can integrate Zen on Ethereum to the Bitcoin world with BRC-20s somehow. Then give incentives to get that token. That's exactly what we've done with ZenFi. You create a new token on ERC20, then give incentives to get that token by burning Zen. So we did it with Zen Knights, but we now have some ideas to make it more interesting. And how do you burn in different ways, and how it can be used as an amplifier for adoption. So this is what we are curious about right now. And a little bit more on that, because as always, we want to show if things are possible so others can do it with modifications and further improvements of what we have done. And we will do this in the same way that we have been talking and educating about. And it also is an opportunity for to show how you can take a meme token and then give it utility. It could make other meme tokens rise to be more useful. So we want to do it, but you also have to realize that it's not necessary for every meme token to do it. You have to understand, why do people invest in meme tokens? Because they fill a function as is, and the function is because they're easy. Okay, DeFi is super complex. The utility of a meme token is that it doesn't have any utility. Okay, the meme is the utility, and that's really the point of it. Culture and onboarding, because DeFi is complex. You have to remember that what we are doing is we are making tech to be used by the common man. So if you just go out on your street and look at the grandma waiting for the bus, and look at the taxi driver, and look at the man walking the dogs, they're not really degens, right? Depends on the street. But the point is, at some point, we have to step out of DeFi, and DeFi have to as well look at a broader adoption, because there's no point in creating this little bubble where we're just like are experts at creating yield, and that's it. We want technology to be used by the common man. We want it to come to the rest of the 96%. So just like we have on the EVM ecosystem, we should have an ecosystem building on Bitcoin and vice versa. So and then make paths to make those systems interchangeable. So the revolution that goes on in Bitcoin right now is something that we can't ignore if we are serious about adoption of decentralized, censorship-resistant value systems. And we were early to talk about ordinals in our community, the fact that you can inscribe, attach arbitrary data to a Satoshi. And what you have to realize is this opens up to a whole new world of use cases. And we only started to tap into the possibilities of this. It's only been a few months since this tech genesis, but developments in line with the usage thereof are the fastest we ever experienced. So the next step is to explore how we can, depending on the street, the next step is to explore how we can turn a simple token into something useful with utility. And further, how we can make something that's per default has no maximum cap, deflationary, and all of this with no smart contracts. So we've done this on Ethereum on 11 chains. We created this yin-yang, fully decentralized harmony between the creation and destruction through conversion based on incentives. And it works ridiculously well. Minters earn profit, incentives for builders to create utility for Zen are extremely strong. And all of this doesn't require centralized authority or approval. So ultimately, how do you bridge these value systems on Bitcoin over to Ethereum and vice versa? And this is where XEN has the potential to become this fully censorship resistant, no admin keys, fully community owned chain that bridges these two worlds. It just like broadens the whole concept of XEN to another level. But for that to happen, we have to constantly explore, develop, and push this current infrastructure to the max. So we have to go beyond existing systems and be at the forefront of these innovations by building and participating as a community engaged with other communities. So, like being a maxi in a token or as a community has never been a recipe for success. We are at 4% crypto adoption. Most of it is custodial. So no one has succeeded in adoption, and this is why we have to make things differently. Zen has worked because we never focused on the price chart ever. It's always been about getting more users, accelerated user adoption with disinflationary but inflationary tokenomics, being able to convert into something more deflationary. So we always said that Zen always get value with time and adoption. So we are looking at VMPX especially to might satisfy all the Zen boys in the chats, but we have some different interesting ways to create. I'm very excited for what we're going to do. I don't want to set expectations high, but just like from a technical standpoint, I'm very excited about this project that we have come very far with. We still have to get all the pieces on paper, but I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be fun, I think, for many different kinds of reasons. So, like, I can't tell you like a time estimate, but things come when they are ready. people in our community know that we deliver, like if we can deliver or talk about something, we do it ASAP. So when we don't do it, it's because we're still dependent on things in the process to settle. But we think it's going to be fun. You also have to realize that if you're new to Zen, that Zen is not. And now I'm speaking to all the the Wen boys. This is great because there's a lot of new people from Bitcoin coming into our community now that have no idea what we've been doing and are very confused after this stream. Like if you've been with Zen for a very long time, you probably could follow all of this, like this whole line that I've been talking about. But if you're new, you're probably very confused, and that's okay. But what you have to realize is that, you know, we try to do everything in our power to distance ourselves from being some kind of central authority. We're very much inspired by like open source communities like Linux. Jack was like one of the first hackers of Linux 30 years ago. And I come from an open source hardware mindset. So everything we're doing, I like to call it that we are a permissionless anarchistic duocracy, where everyone is invited to join and to build, and the one who does decides. Like if you're building awesome stuff, and it makes sense, then users on all the chains are going to use them, and that's how you get adoption. So you don't need to seek like VC funding, and you don't need to raise funds for, you know, being listed on centralized exchanges and used for marketing. You know, if what you're building is good and needs to be good, it's gonna spread in the community, because Senians are just like hungry. You saw the pie chart; they're hungry to just eat this pie chart. So my point is, like, you can't wait for the team to deliver something. Like if something doesn't work, you just fix it. You go and do it. It's not this kind of crypto project where the team is going to make everything, and you're just going to sit there and do nothing. People are amazing in our community. They go on Twitter Spaces, they do streams, they build stuff. It's really. I'm super proud. I want you to know this. I'm super proud of our community. It's so good. It has so many good people, and I appreciate each and every one of you, what you're doing. And people get it, like they get it right away. If we're doing something, they switch their building mind right up and they just create something. It's absolutely beautiful. So there's a guy in the community, there's a team who created this. I don't know exactly what it is or what they're going to do, but there's something. Like I have no idea, but just the fact that they're capturing just a few days after we created the VMPX, they are in the works of creating some kind of utility for Zen and for VMPX as well. I don't know what it is, but there is probably something going on with it. We are doing our thing. They have a plan, and whatever we can support, it's cool. They are going to do it. We're going to do our thing, and when we're ready for it, you're going to know about it. It just takes a little bit of time to develop. So if you can't wait, just sell your tokens, and because we're not in the business to satisfy short-term speculators wanting exit liquidity. You don't mean anything to me. You don't need to ask 400 times per day when. You know this GIF when they stand on the when button. When. It comes when it comes. But okay, let's talk a little bit about also BRC-20 as an asset class, to cover that as well. How long have we been going on? Like almost 2 hours, yeah. Why choose VMPX token over other meme coins? Investors keep chasing new meme tokens instead of sticking with one token. If meme is the utility, like VMPX has the best and coolest story. It doesn't exclude that we're going to use any of the other tokens as well. But the only thing we know is that we're going to use VMPX. So like you have to realize that the BRC-20 space is something that I'm very bullish on. Like you have an industry going from 0 to $1 billion market cap. It's a bit lower now, but in a few months, it's like, hello, it's explosive, and it might go to 0, or it might go to something else. Who cares? It's a tool that we can play with, and it's awesome. That's how I see it. Because here's the thing, BRC-20, it's like the WordPress of creating and distributing economic energy. It's never been easier to do so. You don't have to be a developer to do it. And we encourage everyone who wants to experiment with it to do so, because it's empowering the individual to create value with less dependency and less risk. So freedom. So isn't that a good thing? Everything that's being created doesn't have to aim for becoming, the new reserve world currency like Bitcoin or Zen, or main infrastructure like Ethereum and XEN are trying to be. We want to transact with peer-to-peer money in everything we do. So you have global systems and you have an individual, and in between you have clusters and formations of smaller ecosystems that can be customized to be fully on chain and adapted to the individual use case. So why BRC-20 is interesting is because a group can have their own customized currency for their individual use case, fix their own supply with their own utility and so on. And they can then plug that in to a bigger ecosystem like Zen to be part of a bigger network. So this is like perfectly in line with the concept of tokenization of everything, if you know what that is. And it's a very efficient tool to use for such to empower the self-sovereign individual. That's how I see it. And like this VGJX, which was made as a response to Pussy, I think, by some awesome community members in Zen, women in Zen. Crypto Mom, big shout out. They have this community of a sub-community within the community. Because if you've ever been to a crypto conference, you know that there's too many Ds on the dance floor. Like it's within this community, a lot of sub-communities can form where they have like special interests and just like to hang out. So I thought that was pretty cool. But with this is just an example. But if you have this technology where it's easier than ever to create your own token, you then have this value entity to share in the smaller network. And it's a network of addresses attached, which makes it possible to transact and share value in between through airdrops or whatever you want to do with that, in your sub community. I think it's great. It's big shout out to Crypto Mom. So let's look at also, just to back up my claims of that this is being a like an explosive ecosystem right now. We have to look at some data. Lite data. Yeah, here we go. Let me refresh. So here you can see, guys, yesterday we passed the JJ. How do you say it? Yeah, it's the JJX. Yesterday we passed 10.2 million inscriptions, which is absolutely insane. And as I talked about many times before, like this explosive growth that we see right here, it's this the same kind of like degen energy that we experienced back in 2020, DeFi summer, if not even more explosive. So you understand the reasons, if you listen to my streams, why this is happening now. I think $25 million has been used to inscribe things with ordinals, which is just like completely insane. And this is also something I've been following, which is very interesting, like inscriptions by type, because in the beginning you could see like a lot of monkey pictures being inscribed just to test. And I'm responsible for a few of those, not everyone. But now we're seeing a lot more text. So why is it so? Well, it's because of BRC-20s. Because when you inscribe a BRC-20, it's just like JSON. It's just text going into an inscription. So that's very interesting to follow. And also, let's see, yeah. What we could see are the ordinal marketplaces. So we could see that it's a bit smaller, maybe. Let me try to make it bigger. Like the different kinds of marketplaces that pop up, and the orange thing here is the wait, this is not the same. Oh, this is ordinal marketplaces. This is actually not the one I wanted to show. Why is not Unisat there? Anyway, I'll find it later. I'll post it. But this is also very interesting. You could see like the Magic Eden where we had the Zen Knights. I think we put them here because we realized that they're going to be their site is very well done. They are growing very, very fast. So this is very interesting to follow, guys, the different marketplaces, which has ordinals and everything related to ordinals. And this is also very important to understand, like what are BRC-20s and how they work. So we talked about this before in previous streams, but basically, I will show you how to do it. Basically, what you do is there's three methods. Okay, there's three operations when you're creating a fungible token on Bitcoin. It's a deploy. So in that deploy, you are creating the BRC-20, the economic energy, and you use this operation deploy, and you specify. This is what I mean with the three inputs. You specify the ticker, the limit of supply, and the total supply, and the limit per mint. So how many a user can mint at the same time. So that's the first operation. The second operation is minting. So once it's deployed, you can mint right away, and then you use the operation mint, the ticker that needs to correlate with the ticker in the deploy, and then how many you want to mint. And then once you have that in your wallet, you can then transfer. And when you transfer, that's also an inscription happening. So if you've seen on Unisat that, you know, when you mint, it needs to be within the specified mint range. And if it's above, it won't be. It will still be an inscription, but it won't be a legitimate part of the BRC token supply. And the way that you can verify that is through the trading platforms that will only present you the ones who are valid, so to speak. But when you then transfer BRC-20, that creates another inscription. So then that inscription number goes up. So that's how that's like the basics of how they work. And this is how you basically can inscribe something. You just go to unisat.io. You can inscribe from anywhere, but they made it super friendly. And you just click here, inscribe, BRC-20, deploy, 4 characters. So tell me, what should we inscribe? Love. It's probably already taken, so we're not going to do it. And you can just choose your supply, 100, 100 million, limit per mint 100, and then press next. And then you go ahead with the transaction. Like, that's it. That's how easy it is to create an economic energy. So it's super cool. And I have to show this as well. This is done by XEN, by a guy in our community, which is pretty cool. A list of a marketplace, so you can see how many tokens, what the total market cap is. Right now it's 286 million, and whoops. I think my connection is a bit bad. Anyway, Ord Space. I'm posting it in the chat right now, so you can follow the coin market cap, sort of. And yeah, I also want to show this. It's very strange. Leomix. OG Senian made this site, bento.me/Zen Crypto. Awesome site. Posting it now. Which is just like, I just want to show it. It's not related to ordinals or BRC-20s, but I just want to show that it's an awesome site, just with the different links to the light papers and the contract addresses and the different telegrams and syndication videos and Phoenix, Xenon, etc., etc. Awesome site. Like, this is, I love to see this, guys. Leomix, big shout out. Thank you so much. I love to see this. Like, people are just creating a bunch of different useful stuff that can be used. And we also have the Zenites on Magic Eden. So you can see right now the floor is 0.99 for Zenites, which is pretty cool. Yeah. When can you burn? Let's see what else I had to talk about today. We've been going for such a long time. But I did want to say... So yeah, I quite like a bit about participation of BRC-20s. Like, if you like Bitcod made, he's an interesting character in the BRC-20 space. He created a BRC-20 called OXBT, where he tried to get as many holders as possible, and he succeeded with it. And the way he did it was that he sort of pre-mined the whole distribution, but then found different ways through his community to distribute it in a way that created a lot of holders. And the intention was to not do what we did with VMPX, to like, as a result, to pay as much in fees as possible, but to minimize the fee of the distribution. So that's very interesting. But he said something that was pretty funny, like, why, on the question of why should you mint the BRC-20s? So if you have to ask, you probably shouldn't. That was pretty funny. Like, participating in this, it's probably the most deviant thing you can do right now. I mean, it's new, it's low market cap, it has potential asymmetric returns, it can go to zero. Infrastructure is glitching, not as much as Post-Chain Explorer, but still. So like, listen, there's things that are moving fast, and it's very hard to keep up with all these developments. But sometimes we also just got to update our worldview faster and let go of all dusty paradigms. So, you know, if you want to participate in BRC-20, it's because you want to learn. You'll probably learn a lot. You want to participate in building with the most innovative and impactful tech. with the fastest and most powerful team in community in crypto, and you're attracted to like potential asymmetric returns, but also realize the risk of that. We are doing this because it's very, for all the reasons that I outlined in this talk. Like, we're very interested in how we can have Zen and X1 as a hub between this interoperable volume that we think is going to 100,000x, whatever. I'm just throwing out the number, but I can feel it. I see it when I talk to people on the streets of crypto, when I use all of my experience. I just see where the puck is going on this one, and I might be completely wrong, but we are very excited about Bitcoin and how we can take Zen there in various ways. If they had smart contracts, we just deploy Zen already and be done with it. But there's interesting stuff like, can we use Zen as a execution layer and use Bitcoin as a settlement layer for some stuff, for instance? That's also something we're looking into. And like, I do want to also like talk a little bit about maximalism, and then I'll take some questions. Then we have to go to no, we got a little bit of time. So like maximalism, because I don't want Zen to fall into the trap of maximalism. It's very important because it's a trap that many other communities have fallen into. Because only talking about Zen is everything we stand against. Because we are not building monolithic systems and communities that are going to stay siloed, okay? We want to dominate this whole industry with first principles, okay? And we want adoption of that. That's our goal. And I do realize that this is something that is like a complete mind shift from everything you might have been experiencing so far in crypto and other communities, perhaps. But think about it, like you adopted Zen for a reason. So question for you, do you think more people will be interested in hearing about it? Yes or no? Because if you are, then you got to talk to them. And people are not going to come to you and ask you those questions. You've got to go to them and say, hey, what are you doing? Hey, that sounds really interesting. What am I doing? I'm doing this. It's really cool. You could take this and use this, and we could work together. That's like more efficient way to approach to approach adoption than saying like, hey, we're the purists, we're Zen, we're better than you, and if you come in here, meme lord, then don't like you're just going to repel. You're not going to convert, if you know what I mean. So like the only thing, if you only talk about your project, if you only talk about Zen, then that's going to signal maximalism and exclusion. It's not going to signal inclusion. So we have to realize that the principles are guiding us. Everything is Zen. We work with everybody. So you can't be a maximalist. You can't be part of the MEF, the Maximalist Economic Forum. If Jack tweets Ribbit, it doesn't mean he's left Zen. Okay? It doesn't mean he abandoned you. He's going to a Twitter space. He learned something new by listening. He talks about Zen and X1 and what we're doing. He's sharing insights with other communities and telling them, hey, we're doing something cooler, you should check it out. Result of that being he gets 15,000 more followers on Twitter that will hear about Zen and X1. So how is that a bad thing? We can't be maximalistic. We can't be afraid to talk and acknowledge other communities. I talk to everyone. I talk to like people from the Ethereum side, from Bitcoin side, the OG guys, the new age crypto guys. Everyone has something interesting, and Zen needs to be everywhere. Zen needs to integrate with everything. So it's just about finding what are the touch points between Zen and Pepe, or Zen and Polygon, and et cetera, et cetera. Because there are like interesting synergies with everything, where we don't have to compromise our values for participation in whatever. We can make a change in their communities to the better. So like just like loop that with everything that we are doing. We're having Zen and X1 like very central to everything we're doing. We want adoption of first principles, but we are moving very fast, and we need to move very fast, and we need to explore stuff to the limit, and we want to be able to use all our tools to do so. We don't want to be limited. And you know, you should consider doing the same, because we have been grooming you now for 9 months. You know everything about Zen, and you know, like you know all about the degeneracy of ZenFi. You know the values we share. You know the principles. So just like go out there. You preach the message. You talk to people. Zen is not us versus them. Zen is the new standard. Tell them. Say it like, this is what we're doing, and you could consider doing this with Zen, because we bring a lot of value. So you have more than enough ammo to talk to anyone right now about Zen. Like just rewatch all the Zen education videos on repeat every day. That should be your morning routine. You wake up, you watch all the Zen education videos on repeat, and then you go to bed, and then you repeat for a week, and then you will. You know all of this right now. You know, like, and as we talked about in the stream, like the foundations, like the theory that we talked about initially, it checks out. This shit is scalable. Like, do you realize it works? I'm just like, it's so cool. We need to enter a new phase now, where we take this out to everyone and just integrate it. We have like a position which is unique. It does require a lot of work still, a lot of work, but we are so on the right path. It's like ridiculous. I think this thing can scale a lot, but we have to go where the puck is going to be. Yeah. So yeah. And like everyone agrees that maximalism and tribalism is a problem, but nobody's willing to change their behavior. You can have polite disagreements and healthy discussions. It's like take hexagons as an example. You know, sometimes they're a very strange species. You know, how they act, what they say, and it can drive you nuts. It's like, what the hell are you saying? Why are you doing that? And they think the same of us, but you know, they think we're super idiots, some of them sometimes. But instead of always focusing on the differences, like flip the coin a few times and just ask, like, take the Socrates approach. So let's highlight the synergies as well for once. Like what's one thing that both the Zen and Hex ecosystems are 100% aligned with? Think about that. Complete silence. Nobody asked the question ever. Self-custody, right? Self-custody is 100% aligned. 100% aligned with self-custody. Richard Hart has been preaching about self-custody for years, when nobody else would. And everyone should always have respect for him for that. At least I do. So when a situation like Ledger comes up, that happened, if you follow that, we need to be aligned in those situations right there and join forces to steer crypto in the ecosystem in the right way, because otherwise we're all fucked. So, you know, always like, and if people act in a way that you don't like, it's not an excuse for you to treat them in the same way. You need to be better, and you can show that by action. I personally don't want Hex or Pulse to fail. I personally wouldn't invest in the ecosystem when I can invest that money in the Zen ecosystem, obviously. But my core belief is that people should be able to have the freedom to choose what they want to. Some love it, and they should be able to do so. They have every right to. Still, we will ponder that system hard, as we do with every other system. And it's our belief that it will make systems overall better. So yeah, it goes by the same rules as everything else. If you can't handle Zen, then how are you going to scale to billions? So yeah, like when it comes to you in this ecosystem, what I want you to realize is that what Zen gives you is a platform to change your life and to change the world, because the power lies in the community. You have the tools, you have the tech, you have the community, you have the degen energy, you have the financial incentives. So realize that, and then ask yourself, I have all of this, what more do I need to be the best that you can be, to live to the fullest of your potential as a self-sovereign individual? So you just find that out and solve it and try stuff and fail at it again and again and again, learn from it, and then you go. We cannot be promoting every project that comes up. So if we're building a dependency on Jack or me to promote every project that's being built up, that's a dependency that's very dangerous to build scalability upon. We try to do our best, but it's as much yours as it is ours. This is open source tech. We're unattached to the protocol. You don't see Vitalik. You didn't see him at the launch of Curve. You didn't see Satoshi at the last Bitcoin conference, but they're still scaling pretty well. So the ecosystem, if we're going to take adoption seriously, we need to right now start planning for how we can leapfrog, not fall into the paradigms of other ecosystems, other communities, other people's tech. We need to think completely differently. And we don't know exactly how that's going to look like, but we know where we can be to amplify that a lot. So in conclusion, it's more than creating shitcoins on Bitcoin. Jack hasn't abandoned the community. Sometimes you just got to connect the dots faster. I'm kidding, guys. We are running with this, and we're not gonna be able to break down every little detail of what we are doing while we are flying in Mach 3. But we want you guys to feel empowered to learn with us, and then use that to crush adoption. So we are focusing on now, we're asking the questions: how can we bring in the next 100 million users into Zen? Ordinals, it's $1 billion in market cap in a couple of months. That's rapid growth. That's very interesting what goes on right there. And that's going to happen with or without us. But next year, if we have all the tooling, we will be ready with all the assets that users can play with, flow from people in Bitcoin to Ethereum and vice versa, with the tokens, the BRC-20s, whatever standard you want to use. That's a focal point for adoption. That's very interesting. So yeah, Zen was meant to be peer-to-peer cash. So what we are looking to do is extend more things that you can do with it than burning it for protocol. You have to be able to use it for anything, for services, for payments, for all that stuff that you need, that you are normally transacting in the normal world. Yeah. So anyway, this was just the starter with the BRC-20. This was just a starter. What's going on now? And you guys should be ready for the main course. I think it's going to be fun. Vampire technology. Yeah, we covered a lot, guys. We covered a lot. Let's do a small recap, and I have some time for some questions. When the price up, just flip the charts. You can just flip the price charts. Just turn your computer any way you like. You get the right. So in conclusion, mint more Zen. I think the use case of Zen works pretty well so far. I'm ready, brate. Dobro. Ja sam jedan pitbull. When will the white paper be ready for X1? That's a very good question. We are working continuously. Like when it comes to X1, there's different parts of it, right? It's the tokenomics, the financials, but it's also the tech and the adoption of X1, the integrations. So what we have focused a lot on recently is how we can take X1 into becoming something more that can be a merger for the Bitcoin world as well. So that takes a lot of time and so on. That and the fact that we decided that we didn't want to have any allocation. I mean, we did want to. You have to realize the design decision, like the design decisions we made with Zen, that it's completely unattached. We could have taken like 0.001% of all the transaction fees and be billionaires. But we didn't do it because it would hinder the adoption of Zen. The same thing with X1. We could have taken an allocation of like 20% or 5%, which we initially thought, but we thought about it, and it wouldn't be something. It would be a weak point if we did. It wouldn't be something that was uncensorable. It could lead to like path of being. It wouldn't be censorship free. So we want to do something nobody else did before at a large scale. So that fact complicates things a little bit when it comes to making this all happen, because you need to align yourself with other open source freaks who want to build this together with us. So it's coming. We're working on it, and we're working a lot practically with it, but it's very hard to say right now when you can expect the white paper. But we're continuously like getting more and more insights what needs to be there. Yeah, let's check. Simple Waters, you survived. Guys, send in NFTs also. Thank you so much. When send crypto list on Binance? No idea. We don't talk about listings with centralized exchanges. How do you think XEN distribution? I think it will be the hardest model to decide. Yes, it has many challenges. We like math, so it's. I do see some like highlights how it could be done, but it does need some care to make all of that game theory come together. illiquid markets, good synods that we get clarity on what Jack meant when he said Zen on all M1s, basically like testnets that scared some of my buddies. Yeah, I think it was more of a joke. Like, if you think about it, leading up to an L1, do you know anyone who has made more like due diligence and tests, like to create something, something like that? We like spent all of this time and engagement on all of these different networks. We learned a lot, and I think that's going to help us a lot to make a chain that's very great. But what you have to realize is that we are not building X1 as a chain to tell everyone else, hey, come to our chain, it's faster, better, cheaper. It probably will be, but we're telling why it's going to be powerful is because, you know, you like Binance, you like Polygon, you stay there, but you still have an incentive to interact with X1. So we can use the power of all networks. So yeah. Yeah, we don't see any change in, like, you know, it's like the chain is working on DevNet. It's awesome. It's fast. It's great. Stress tested it like very hard, like 100 times more than any other chain has been like used. So it's great, but it's not only about like the tech. It's about all the different pieces to fit together. So we're still looking at Q1 2024. Asking for a friend is minting on X1 testnet, but doesn't know how many XEN or where they come from, still learning. So yeah, you get, if you go to Telegram, our mods can give you some directions. Let me just post a link to our Telegram here, because there's probably a lot of new people. Like 100 windows up. Here we go. Oh, guys, you can. There's Senians. There's Senians here. You can post it also. X1 should have its own race car and team in Formula One. That would be cool. I love motorsports. I'm crazy about motorsports. I love it. That would be super cool. How can we promote something like Wink makes without knowing roadmap? Because we, you know, in order to create a roadmap, you need to know all the different stuff with it, and we're still putting those things together. But we're on a very good road. And once we have that, the way we do things is that we stream about it. We go through all the game theory in detail. We want all the people to understand exactly how we're doing it. We have very interesting game theory to involve Zenburn, and then we have something to talk about. And then we can just talk about it forever. That's where we really like push things. But for now, we're in build mode. When Zen crypto Visa cards? Yeah, we should have like not Visa, our own cards. Motorcycles, yeah. Ducati Panigale 899. It's my motorcycle, the last one I had. It's beautiful. It's like the Ferrari of motorcycles, aesthetically at least. Like at 160 kilometers per hour, that's where it like smoothens out. It just spins like a so good. So then Zen or X1 having products like phone or laptops, there's like Codebreaker and his guys are working on something like that, which is pretty cool. I don't know what he's doing. It's super exciting. What's the difference between Zen and X1? So Zen is a protocol that's been live on all of these different chains, on 11 different chains. It's a protocol where it's basically like Bitcoin on Ethereum. And you mint your own value. It's a protocol that's completely based on first principles. There's no admin keys. It's immutable. Let me show you this. It's awesome, guys, to see new people coming in here. Here we go. You can screenshot this. This is old. We should refresh this. But it lives up to all of these principles, which is very unique. It's censorship resistant. Everything is completely transparent. We didn't pre-mine anything. The supply and price started at zeros. There's no admin keys. And the code is immutable, and so on and so forth. And X1 is layer 1 blockchain that we are in the works of building. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, guys, hit the smash the like button. Let me know if you have some questions. Otherwise, I have to go soon. We are going to meet the Libre team today. They're working on some really cool stuff as well. I can't wait to show you that. That's going to be awesome. But yeah, guys, all in all, I'm super excited. I'm very proud of what we built. Let's do a small recap. We talked about Bitcoin, Zen, adoption, BRC-20s, and Wayne Gretzky. So now you know how to connect the dots of those. And we talked about that we need to go where the puck is going to be, not where it is. We went back to talk about what this project is all about and what it's built on and what the goal of this project is. And we talked about Bitcoin and that we're starting to look at Bitcoin as something very interesting, a network that we want to interact with. And we talked about Ethereum, what we've done so far, and why we chose Ethereum, and our track record, and what we've proven so far, which is pretty awesome stuff, and that the model works. It just needs to scale and adopt and continue to develop in the same way we're doing, and it's going to be awesome. And that's, we're seeing something now which I like to describe as a merge of users' capital and developers' knowledge between these two ecosystems, and we have the opportunity to be in the center of that, together with other cool open source anarchists. And then we talked about some DGen energy, that we created Zenites and a bunch of BRC-20 tokens that had a huge effect, and also that we are trying to create utility for this now, and we were excited about it. And also that we talked a little bit about BRC-20 as an asset class and the explosiveness of this space. What's the Crypto Bro? Good to see you, bro. What's the website to see Bitcoin fee levels? You can. There's a bunch. You could go to mempool.space. I think that's the best site to study. Because there you can see the block production in real time, and you can see the fee levels as well. There's a bunch of like other sites as well, which is more like graphical. With there's Dune dashboards and whatnot. The Libra team is shit. It's like Facebook stuff. I think Libra was the token that Facebook was going to. They tried to create a token or a currency that got shut down, and they rebranded it to DM. This is nothing to do with that, thank God. This is Libre. They're a Bitcoin super DGen team that are creating awesome tech that we find many synergies with. Will Bitcoin blockchain ever be faster? No, it won't. And this is a good question, actually, because like everything that goes on Bitcoin is you can't change the block times, 10-minute on average block times on Bitcoin. They're fixed like forever. They're immutable. So you're never going to get away from that, which is why which is like just how it is. It's strength and weakness at the same time, which is why it's interesting to think of like L2 scaling solutions, where you can have another layer which contains all the logic with smart contracts and do whatever you want to do, but then you take that and settle it on the Bitcoin layer because it's the most like decentralized, secure, etc. So yeah, the shit is scalable. Any info on how distribution of XEN token takes place? No, we're still working on it. Isn't Stacks a smart contract layer for Bitcoin? Yes. You mentioned there aren't any for the network. Just wondering. No, maybe I said wrong, but I don't think I mentioned that aren't any. There are things like Stacks that have been working and have been doing very cool stuff for a very long time. However, so here's the thing: if you have Bitcoin, which lives up a lot to first principles, what you're building on top needs to be as much trustless as well. Stacks, they're doing a lot of interesting stuff, but I think they have very much control over the validators, and there's a lot of other challenges with it as well. I just bridged 0.0 BTC from AUX to Bitcoin, and now I'm at my Unisat wallet, and I've lost about 0.14 in Bitcoin fees. Is that normal fees? So you go to, let me show you. If you go to mempool.space, this site is awesome because you can see the transaction happening in real time. So here you can see, like right now, the median fee to get into a block is 55 sats per virtual byte, so 250. And here's the fee span. So the thing you have to consider is when you make a transaction is how urgent are you to make that transaction. If you really want to get into this next block, then you got to pay like at least 54 sats per virtual byte, and then it's more likely that you will be pushed out probably. But if you're in the upper range, it's more likely that you're going to be included in this next block. So it all depends on like how urgent you are. Like you if it's not urgent and you really want to optimize what you're paying in fees, you could set like 40 or 20 even, and then just wait a week or two or a day and hope that the network is going to be like on a weekend or whatever, it's going to be very little used, and then you might get your transaction through. So yeah, Stacks isn't EVM. Hello, Jack. Hello, Jack. I used OTF. BTC to Bitcoin was about $25 in fees. What about Wayne Gretzky in the title? You didn't talk about it. I did. Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky said, a good hockey player doesn't go where the puck is. A good hockey player goes where the puck is. A great hockey player goes where the puck is going to be. That was his mentality, and that's why he had a really good understanding of the game. He wasn't the strongest, you know. He wasn't the fastest. He was very fast. But he was very good in understanding the game. and where to position himself on the field. Yeah, go where the puck is going to be. Jack's here. Awesome. I'm ready, Jack. Welcome to LA. Welcome to Venice. Censor, describe need to inscribe when sending BRC-20. Yeah, so if you have like, let's take for example, you have a limit per mint per 1,000, for instance. So if you have that limit per mint of 1,000, then you have 1,000 of that token in a package, let's say. Now, if you want to like fractionalize this package, for instance, what you need to do is split that up. And the way you split that up is by creating another inscription, which that creates another ordinal. So you might have 1,000 and you want to send 20 of them. And then you do a method called inscribe transfer. You do this in Unisat wallet. You just click and click transfer, and you just follow the steps and it does it. But what it does is that it's splitting your ordinal up into another ordinal that then gets inscribed and gets sent. If that makes sense. Yeah, guys, we've been going for a long time. Oh wow, 2 minutes, 2 hours 40 minutes. We've been talking for a long time. I haven't made a stream in some time because it's been full. Like every day has been like just completely nuts. So we had a lot to talk about. Deductive reasoning, more transactions, high fees, no mass adoption. It's just a narrative to promote the Bitcoin meme coin frenzy. Yeah. What does deductive mean? All right, guys. Have a good day, Senians. I love you. Stay hungry, stay alert, and I hope we can share something next week, in the best case, for VPM XEN utility. That would be cool. Eric Wall says you guys are turning Bitcoin into sewer. Yeah. He's also supporting it in a way. When send burn on Bitcoin? Yeah, we're working on the integration of such. Inscribing is the way we met Eric Wall. Me and Jack took Eric Wall to the Pepe boat party in Miami, which was very fun. I met Eric Wall. He's a super nice guy. He's very cool. He has a lot of cool ideas. It was good to meet him. And that was also very interesting to meet the Pepe guys. I know one of them from the OG crew. And then there's the new Ethereum, which is another crew, and they met also basically for the first time there. So it's pretty cool. Honey deals, inscribing is the way to deal with non-fungible ordinals and making them transferable in a fungid liquid kind of way. Good to see you, Tappy boy. Have a good day. Aydin, Staradish. Ask Eorb, will you get your answers Yeah, exactly. I was the first Orbonaut. Eric Wall had this super cool project called the Orb, which the reason I participated was because it was so interesting in various different ways. Because it's an NFT project which has the Haxberger tax code, which is basically saying it works this way: like you buy the Orb, or initially there was an auction. So I participated in an auction. I won the auction, and directly when you acquire the Orb, you also instantly set the selling price, which is super interesting. So the Orb can be taken from you at any second. So it's a cool, because it's an NFT that is not something you hodl. Like anyone can take it at any seconds if they're willing to pay the price that you are selling it for. Now, why wouldn't you set an insane high price? Well, because over that selling price that you're setting, you have to pay tax on it. And the tax rate can be set to anything, but he set the tax rate to 300%, which is pretty cool. So that's a concept that is actually very interesting, and that I know he's looking to do something more with. So why would you acquire the Orb? Because if you acquire the Orb, you get to ask him a question, and he has 7 days to respond. There's nothing that forcing him to do so, but he has a financial interest to do so, and his reputation is on the line. So the incentive structures there is very interesting. So I bought the Orb, and then I asked him a question about X1. Like if he were to create an L1, because what's interesting with Eric Wall is the fact that he knows a lot about many different communities, and he's done so by interacting with them. So he knows about Bitcoin, he knows about Ethereum, he knows about Hex, he knows more about Zen now. So that's very interesting. So I asked him, like, if you were to, what would the challenges be with creating a L1? That is Ribbit! Tusen bratte. What would the challenges be with creating an L1 just based on just based on the fact that it's 100% community owned, which is a super cool idea. I don't know if you guys really understood the significance of that. It's like awesome. Like every design decision that's made by any other L1, it's like there's human interference in that. But how can we create, layer one infrastructure with no admin keys, with no allocations, fully community owned? It's kind of huge in a way. It's a lot of challenges with it, but we are insane enough to like entertain the idea to the extent that we even think it's possible. So yeah, but for that we need to vampire a lot and learn. Yeah, had vampire in the house. Zensei / Dracula is here. Anyway, guys, have a good day. LFG. Let's end it right here. It's so good to talk to you. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for tuning in. And think about what I said today. There was a lot of information, and I do realize it maybe is kind of hard to follow along all of these lines, but it is very complex. It is very interesting. I'm super excited. I'm more excited than ever. I'm very positive that we made the foundations together in this community so well. So I dare to dream of expanding this, and I want us to try to do so. Jackson is zone as always. He has a lot of interesting ideas every day, he's on fire. He's on fire right now, as he always has been. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Anyway, good day, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all. LFG, rock and roll. Over and out. 10-2, Zenzu.